The public now has direct access to the most relevant evidence in the case. Lie. Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Disclaimer, everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Okay, we finally have some new documents on the Idaho case of interest site when it comes to court filings. The judge was to do things from newest to oldest, so they're going through the documents from the plea agreement and then moving backwards. And we had the first set that was handled. There was still some information that they all just agreed to not have released. Then we had the second set, and that's been put off for like weeks now. The defense actually filed their response sealed, and so we have no idea really what they were arguing about, what the argument even was. We don't even know which documents they don't want out there. Their entire response was sealed. We only had the document from the state. Now, again, there are two copies of the order. They were filed just a few hours apart from each other. If you go in and scroll through them, they line up precisely with each other. Nothing that I've noticed is different. I also didn't go in word for word on both of these. I'm going to read the amended one because it's the one that's being kept as the final record. But I don't know. I don't know what the difference is. The people that are CC'd on the documentation, all of the things line up like precisely. I don't know. Amended order unsealing redacted and or maintaining sealed status. The unsealing of the final tranche of records identified in the order regarding sealed documents, this was the second order, as number 5, number 8, number 11, number 17, and number 29, is objected to at least in part by one or both parties insofar as those records disclose the names and contact information of potential lay witnesses and expert witnesses identified in this case, citing to the persistent media scrutiny of this case and the fact that some publicly identified witnesses have previously been subject to harassment and other concerning behavior. Yeah, well, some of that harassment was also from like the FBI. So let's not like pretend that it's just people. The parties anticipate that revealing their personal identifying information would constitute an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy as provided by, and there's a whole bunch of rules that we've gone through since we started going through these documents, and should be redacted pursuant to ICAR, and again, the same rules we've been talking about for forever now. Following receipt of the parties' objections to revealing this information, the court requested that each party submit under seal additional information concerning the subject witnesses, including their respective roles in the case, whether their names have been publicly disclosed, and whether they have been actually subjected to harassment or threats. And this was from the order regarding requested redactions from August 26, 2025. Again, it's been a minute. Today is October 10th. The court has reviewed the parties' responses and rules as follows. The first one is number 5 from July 3rd, 2025, Sheriff's return concerning witness KSF. There is no further justification under the ICR rules to warrant the continued sealing of this document. However, the court orders that KSF's address be redacted. Let's just go ahead and look at number 5. That would be this one right here. Okay, so it's from the Latell County Sheriff's Department. Here's the case information right here. Subpoena served. I, Richard Skiles, Sheriff of Latell, state that the above described documents were delivered to me for service on the 29th of May, 2025. I hereby certify that on the first day of July, 2025 at 4:05 p.m., I, outside agency officer deputy, began duly authorized, served the above described documents in the above titled matter upon Candy Slew Floria. Who are you? If this is the right person, because we're talking about expert witnesses, then she is someone who works for forensics. She has been working for ISP Forensic Evidence Specialties at the Idaho State Police. The next page is just the other portion of the subpoena of when it was actually handed over to her, and then the sheriff's return itself, just, you know, the whole process. Now, the next document, the second document, would be document number 8. This is also a subpoena, a sheriff's return concerning witness TAD. Same thing. They want the location of this person's new residence completely redacted according to the rules. Let's go take a look at this one. Okay, so that's this one right here. Okay, so this one is for Timothy A. DeWolf. I've heard that name before. Now, what I'm finding is a guy that most likely no longer lives in Idaho, because what I'm seeing is a different address in another state. And honestly, if this guy had aura, then I wouldn't be able to look up all this information. I'm just saying. If we go down here where he talks about his associations, as you can see, he actually has his Associate of Science in Management Information Systems from the University of Idaho. And if we go down here, we can actually see that in 2022, he was the social chair of what? Sigma Chi. Now, this guy does do like front end analytics support, like tech support, but I'm just going to safely say here that this guy was definitely a lay witness. And again, I'm pretty sure that we've heard this name before, but I just can't remember what. So if you guys know, let me know. 62525 states amended notice of compliance and motion to seal states amended witness list. Okay, so one of these should have a list of people's names, both lay and expert witnesses that the state was going to be calling. Okay, I cannot wait to go over that because there's a few names I'm expecting to see. There is no further justification under the rules to warrant the continued sealing of this document and no valid basis for redactions. This document identifies the names of witnesses, both expert and lay, disclosed by the state in this case. The majority of the witnesses whose names have been publicly identified have reported no threats or harassment as a result. Of the few publicly identified witnesses who have experienced past threats and harassment, they are largely individuals who had a prominent role in the case. Further, there have been no reported episodes of threats or harassment that have placed a witness' life or safety in danger. Well, that's good to know because you swear that they were telling a different tale. In other words, there has not been a compelling showing that a person identified on a witness list will likely face threats or harassment of such a degree to outweigh the public's right to access, particularly given the time that has passed and the corresponding reduction in public furor. Come on now. The public now has direct access to the most relevant evidence in the case. Lie. No, we don't. The most relevant evidence in this case is the knife sheath. And for those of you who have your notification bells set to all, you saw the video that I posted right before this one. It looks like this. I just paid the deposit to Moscow Police Department for information regarding the knife sheath. And I was very specific. I gave dates, I gave departments, I gave numbers to things, I gave times it was picked up from them and brought to ISP. I gave all of the things, and now I'm waiting for my information. I will have a link for all of my recent FOIA responses, things that we've paid for, things that we're waiting on. All those links will be down in the description box. But as of right now, this is a lie. This is a lie. The knife sheath is the most relevant piece of evidence in this entire case. The strength of the state's case landed on nothing but the touch DNA on that very, very sketchy piece of evidence. And they have yet to provide a picture of it or the Amazon receipt to prove that it matches what Bryan Kohberger apparently did buy on Amazon all those months prior to that November 13th night. We've yet to see it. Again, the deposit on it was paid this morning, and I highly doubt, and I don't see how. I don't see how. How much can you care about this case? If it's actually true that little old me is the first one to file a request with MPD to actually get information. I'm not getting charged a duplication fee. I'm getting charged the actual redaction and then review by the city attorney fee. Like no one has asked for this information before. I just don't see how that's possible, but we're going to just go with it and see what happens. But again, given the fact that, ironically, that just happened this morning, this is a damn lie. No, we do not have direct access to that at all. It goes on to say, thus, the need to chase down all potential leads is alleviated. Not really. Not if there's still unknown DNA, blood DNA that was in that house that's male that there's no answers to. I don't see how, but okay. While some of the listed witnesses may be contacted by the media and potentially harassed or threatened, this remote potential does not justify the continued sealing of the record. Consequently, the record will be unsealed. Okay, so this should be a list of names. Let's go take a look. Okay, so it'd be this one right here, the state's amended witness list. Okay, let's see. Comes now the state of Idaho by and through Latell County prosecuting attorney hereby provides notice that the state has delivered an attached amended proposed guilt phase witness list to the defense counsel. Let's go ahead and take a look at the names. We're going to read them all. And forgive me now, because I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce quite a few of these names. Okay. Derek Agbinya, Allison Ackerman, William Adams, Sean Ahern, Emily Allant, Karen Allant, Courage Alorbu, Daniel Anderson, Gary Anderson, Jeff Anderson, Kenneth Anderson, Jacob Archer, Shannon Arredondo, James Ackley, Jenny Ayers, Beverly Baffis, Eric Bailey, Nick Balance, Sandra Baroscus, Cole Barenberg, Wyatt Berry, Heather Barnhart, Jared Barnhart, Mason Barstow, Lyndon Beck, that's Josie's boyfriend. He was there as the cops showed up. He was with Hunter Johnson and the two girls. They walked over. All the things. He was there. Jacqueline Bellevue, Dustin Blaker, Kenny Bonifin, Din Bowker, Jennifer Braun, Brandon Briscoe, Vince Browning, Sadie Buck, Patrick Butner, Carolina Calvin, that's the 911 dispatch lady, Paige Carter, Brooke Chamberlain, Hunter and Maisie Chapin, Connor Chestnut, Nate Clements, Henry Clark, Gary Cooper, Lynn Courtwright, Shane Cox, Sean Crompton, Catherine Dace White, Don Daniels, Andrew Davis, Gary Dawson, Elizabeth D'Angelo, Justin Dean, Jack DeCour, Chelsea Deisher, James Deskins, Mike Douglas, Darren Duke, Peter Elgoraga, John Fletcher, Candy Floria, we went over her subpoena thing a minute ago, Kane Franchtike, Bethany Funk, of course, Jason Gage, Eddie Garcia, Darren Gilbertson, Shannon Galinsky, Nicholas Graybell, Eric Gower, Airplane Bottle Boy himself, Kate Garino, Shane Gunderson, Paige Gunn, Charlotte Hadlick, Nicole Heidemann, Cody Herman, Mazarine Higgins, Rob Hill, Carrie Hogan, Ryan Hoxie, maybe Hoaxie, Diana Huffman, Alexandria Imbrawley, Anthony Amell, that's the FBI car guy, I think, Hunter Johnson, Quinn Kelly, Dylan's boyfriend, Jessica Kelly, different spelling, not related, I'm sure, Amanda Kohberger, obviously it's one of Kohberger's sisters. I believe that's the one that was at the sentencing with his mom. Jason Knight, Michael Lang, Roger Lanier, Josie, yes, Lauderin, John Lawrence, Justin Leary, Vincent Lopez, Karen Lowe, Catherine Mabbitt, Cassie Macy, Taylor Machik, Christopher Manor, Tara Martinez, Jason Maslin, William Maynard, Jenna McClure, Lakeland McComas, that's the one that went with the girls to the corner club that night, Donald McDonald. Is this real? I'm sorry. Donald McDonald? Oh boy. Okay. Carol McKenna, Anne Marie McMohan, Molly McMichaels, DoorDash lady herself, Jarrett Micklow, Jade Miller, James Mylar, or it's Miller, but it's different, Michael McCaldo, Riley Moreland, Aaron Morris, Dylan Mortensen, Lawrence Mowry, Brianna Mucklin, Leanna Mueller, Timothy Mullen, Annette Murphy, Bill Myers, Melanie Newley, Coy Wynn, Brian Knoll, Ann Nord, Rylene Nowlin, Mitch Nunes, not Nunez, but Nunes, Annette Odo, Ryan O'Neill, Brett Payne, Emily Pinot, I don't know how to say that, Bianca Perez, Nick Pierce, Braden Polo, Maureen Polton, Hugh Powell, Alex Prosco, Rebecca Quinn, Justin Javon Reed, Jeremy Reagan. That's the neighbor. That's the one that everybody went crazy on at first. Gideon Roberts, Jonathan Rosinski, Christopher Rouchard, Chris Ruchert, Charlotte Schmidt, Lorelei Schreier, Shushko Jin, Jake Schwecki, Eric Seat, David Sipe, Jeremy Shepard, John Showalter, which is Jack, hoodie guy, John Jack, I guess, Showalter. Veena Singh, that's the autopsy lady from Spokane. Kate Sire, Tim Smaldridge, Corbin Smith, Jeffrey Smith, Jeff Smole, Timothy Snell, Ryan Snyder, Michael Sotolongo, Luke Strinier, Branson Stirk, Paulette Sutton, Jeff Talbot, Jeff Tanzola, Joseph Trano, Mark Trivelpiece, that's the owner of the Corner Club, Bill Trombley, Justin Torrentine, Neil Yoreg, Mike Van Leuven, Danny Vargas, Chase Ward, Tino Walthall, Eric Warner, Christian Westring. I don't know why this is highlighted. I did not highlight it. The first thing that pops up whenever you search his name is from Criminal Legal News from back in September of 2018 that says that him and another guy named Philip Danielson were hired to conduct an independent analysis of DNA from some faulty analysis that was done under a case. So I guess he goes in and really digs into things. But again, I have no idea why his name is highlighted. It's like that. I did not highlight that name. Sophia Whitehead, Chad Willerford, Stephanie Wilt, Jarrett Whittemer, Sean Wright, Matthew Wasaki, Shane Yellen, and Haley Younglin. Number 17 on their list is from 6/13 of 25, and it's another sheriff's return for a subpoena. Its initials YR. Let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so it looks like it's this one right here. This one looks to be for someone named Yesenia Rajo. I definitely did not just say that name, so this must be for the defense side. In fact, this person is not going to be listed on the list that we're going to go through here in just a few minutes. Now, I tried to search for this name and couldn't find anything that was concrete, really. This person no longer lives in Idaho. This person cannot be found in Idaho. And whenever you actually look up the 706 Elm Street in Moscow address where this was sent off to, it's the Delta Zeta Pi Kappa house. So again, this would have had to have been a lay witness. Okay, so the next one is from 6/9 of 25. It's the witness list for the defendant's second amended phase for mitigation. So if he would have been found guilty at trial and they would have tried to fight the death penalty, because that's where this was going if it did go to trial, these were the witnesses that were going to be called. So it's not for the guilt phase, which is what I want to see. I want to know who the defense was going to be calling for the actual trial. This is for the after fact. This kind of stuff is honestly shit that I just don't care about. We'll go ahead and read this and then go take a look at the document. It says, there is no further justification under the rule to warrant the continued sealing of this document, which identifies the names and addresses of individuals defendant identified as mitigation witnesses. For the same reason identified in number 11, supra, there is the first and only footnote. We'll get to it in a second. Redactions are not warranted to the individual's names with the exception of CE, whose health condition may render her acutely susceptible to adverse effects from even the potential of threats or harassment were her full name to be publicly disclosed. Who in the world is that? So everyone else's information when it comes to their names is going to be on the list. This person is the only one that is going to be initials, but also addresses of people are going to be redacted, of course. Okay, so it's this one right here. Okay, it says that it's the mitigation witness list. And again, this also says second amended. So this was like the third one that they actually submitted. But it says mitigation. Down here it says at trial. And that's two completely different things. Mitigation is what happens after trial. So, okay. It says Bryan C. Kohberger by and through his attorneys of record and will call the following witnesses at trial, although not necessarily in the same order as listed. Alessandra Ferris, Amanda Kohberger, so she was going to be called from both sides. Angela Alvarez, Ann Parham, Anastasia Hurt-Morin, Ariel Meyer, Ashley DeTorre, Aubrey Scott, Augustine Atta, Brandon Andriola, we've heard that name before, now we have the CE person, Christian Maynard, Craig Himmons, Dale Willits, Dane Coral, Daniel Parfit, David Macon, Aline Novick Cohen, Aline P. Ryan, an expert that was previously disclosed, Ellen Trexler, Esteban Pena, Ethan Ogden, Eugene Miller, Flavio Alvarez, Gaurav Narang, Jake Voigt, maybe, James E. Aiken, an expert, Jeannie Saylor, Jeffrey Clutter, Jeffrey Lewine, that's an expert that I definitely recognize the name of, Jennifer Mavronis, Jesse Harris, I think that's the gym guy from Pennsylvania, John F. Edens, an expert, John Snyder, that's the professor that he had issues with was going to be called by the defense. That's interessante. Okay. Jolie Brams, Justin Reed, Catherine Ramslin, Laureus Tate, Madeline Anzinger, Maggie Sanders, Mark Barossi, Marianne Kohberger, his mother, Melissa Kohberger, his other sister, Michael Kohberger Jr., his father, Michael Perschuk, Michelle Bolger DeSales, another one of Kohberger's old professors, Rachel Lawson, expert previously disclosed, Randall Kohberger. Interestingly, it's blacked out, but then still says from state's reports. I wonder what that's all about. And if there's something about this person in the state's reports, then why isn't he on the state's witness list? Okay. Richard Kanoboy. Okay. Sherler Jacobson. Scott Kohberger, William Searfoss Jr. We've seen that name in the Pennsylvania subpoenas. Anna Kane, Anthony Soma, and then Lois Scafuri, and it's bolded for some reason. Okay. You know whose name we're not seeing on this list? Cyree. So that's questionable considering that we've had documents from him in the latter part of this case. But remember, Judge Hippler came out and he called him a conspiracy theorist on record. So I don't know if he excused himself after that. I'm going to have to go back in and compare the dates of this list being amended because, again, this is the second amended list, meaning the third one that was submitted. But again, so many agains, it's also a little confusing because the title says mitigation. And again, mitigation is for what they were going to be doing after he would have been found guilty, if he would have been found guilty, in order to try to talk them out of the death penalty. That's what the mitigation was supposed to be. So the fact that the sentencing itself says trial, considering that technically those are two completely separate portions of the system and how this was going to work, it's a little bit confusing. So if it's truly mitigation, then there would be no reason for Cyree to be on it. But if it's truly trial, then he should have been on it. And the wording makes it almost impossible to tell. So I'm just pointing it out and let me know what you guys think. Mr. Kohberger reserves the right to call witnesses to impeach or rebut the government's case. Furthermore, Mr. Kohberger reserves the right to amend this list as witnesses become known and to call as witnesses individuals who have been disclosed as potential witnesses by the state and any other persons who were named by the state within the discovery materials. Well, honestly, it's not even 5 documents, so my intro is just going to be a lie up until this point because I'm not redoing it. Apparently, it's just 4 that we're going to get to actually read because the other one, they're going to keep it sealed. They're going to keep it completely sealed. Exhibit S1 to state's supplemental response to defendant's request for discovery. Item 41 must remain sealed as it recites the unrelated criminal history of witnesses who will not testify in this case, which likely would have been inadmissible even if the witnesses had testified. The unsealing of this record would contravene the privacy concerns of these individuals and likely subject them to reputational harm. Honey, if they have a background, they've already harmed their own reputation. Let's just stop the freaking games already. Thus, pursuant to the rules, the record shall remain sealed. Is this about DoorDash lady? Because we already know all about Molly's discretions, okay? It's all over the place, including her getting pulled over late at night by none other than Brett Payne, and right there in the body cam, as smug as possible while she's eating her customer's ice cream after getting a ticket, she looks over at Brett Payne's camera and says, I'm friends with Bill Thompson, you know, the lead prosecutor for Latah County. And then all hell broke loose right after that video came out. It was actually really interesting the way everything just dominoed after that. But if this is about Molly, we already know about it. It's, again, already out there. And if it's not about Molly, I would be really curious to know what other criminals they were going to have testify. I almost forgot the footnote, so I'm popping it in here as I'm editing. It states, in addition to the reasons set forth in number 11, the vast majority of individuals on this list, including some of the defendant's relatives, did not agree to voluntarily appear as mitigation witnesses for the defense and, in fact, sought to distance themselves from any association with defendants. Consequently, the fact that they were named on defendant's mitigation witness list should not result in reputational harm significant enough to outweigh the public's right to access. Now, I completely get that. I do. Now, we do have a couple different Kohbergers besides Bryan's immediate family on the list, but we also have a couple of different people that we've never heard before, so we can't really tell who might be related and who isn't. Now, we do know that when it comes to what Othram apparently found, they had contacted one of 4 brothers that were apparently very distant cousins to the profile that was brought to them by the ISP lab and an MPD officer, Officer Blaker, and that person did not share the same name. The brothers did not have the Kohberger last name, and when they contacted this person, they refused to help. I personally find it a bit strange that we're supposed to believe, and they're telling us that there was only one person that they contacted. I've listened to a lot of TikTok videos and different social media people giving their account of how they found their birth mother, their birth father, their adopted siblings, or, you know, people that they lost throughout their life, and all the different ways that people are contacted. And they always end up going around and contacting like a daughter of or the niece of somebody else that's blood related in order to do that process of elimination. So for us to again believe that they only contacted the one person, I don't know. I just don't know if I believe that, or if like everybody was like, nah, bro, I'm not helping you. So they don't want to make it look worse than it is. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. So as you can see, just going down, that's the 2 orders that we just went over. Those are the documents we just went over. And that is it. We are still waiting on more because there was a whole lot more on that list. Now, we actually did a video going over all of the documents that were on this one, but I'm just going to like scroll so you can see. We saw 4, was told about a 5th, but look how many are on the list, okay? This is absolutely insane that they're keeping everything still so hush-hush. But that seems to be it in way of the most recent court documents that we can go over at this point in time. Let me know what you guys are thinking about all of this hush-hushness down in the comments. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And please don't forget to make sure that that notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives. See y'all.